the Juncos guys just photobombed me. We'll start it that way. I don't care. Yeah, that's Saturday here at Thermal Club, and oh my gosh, even with only 16 minutes of qualifying and 4 hours of what seemed like nothing on the track, that was crazy, and I mean that in the best way possible. Weather was such a huge factor today, not necessarily in the first section, but the wind picked up later on, and oh my gosh, I don't think anyone has ever seen a haboob threat or a dust storm threat during a IndyCar race as I get buzzed by Romain Grosjean. There he goes. On to qualifying then. Group 1, which we thought was going to be easily the most talent-filled, star-studded field. Felix Rosenqvist finds a way like he did at St. Pete, and we knew he was fast, but for him to succeed like that with everybody else in there was, I think, a curveball for everybody. Here's his thoughts from the press conference.
Yeah, that was a tricky day, man. Practice, we had a really shaky session. I think everyone had with the wind, the dust on the track, and then the fact that I had to go into quali and do, the push to pass and everything. You only really had one go at it. It was definitely felt more confident going into qualifying, but yeah, we kind of nailed it. We made the car a bit more secure, and I did my lap a bit like 99.5%. Like I didn't over push anywhere, and I think that was the right strategy because you see so many people making mistakes, and if you get a gust of wind in the wrong place, like you can end up in the wall. So it's yeah, tricky, really tricky out there. But super pleased for the whole team, iShank Racing, Auto Nation, Sirius XM. Yeah, really good momentum for us to just keep it rolling.
Group 2, we need to talk about this because there was a huge game changer. I need to mention, because we haven't talked about this, for the first time, cars have had 40 seconds of push to pass for this session, and what that essentially meant is drivers were having one lap to put all of their boost into and give it their all. All of the McLarens were essentially the first to go out and try that. Callum Ilott Pato Award went out early when the wind was really, really going, and one guy that got caught out by that wind, Marcus Ericsson, through turn 8, a really tricky part of the track we've seen because it's transitioning from these two different kind of sub-courses here at Thermal. And we're not sure if it was because he was on push to pass and getting extra boost. We're not sure if it was a weird hop or a surface change. He went butt first into the tire barriers, and that brought out the red flag. Everybody else goes out after a red flag. You're guaranteed one more lap after a red flag during qualifying. And the wind dies down. McLarens get 8 up, and I would just say it's a bad gamble. Regardless, Alex Palou, with half of the push to pass, finds his way to the front.
Yeah, I think the track was improving from Group 1, but yeah, anyway, I didn't make any lap before the red came. We were just pushing, and it got us to turn 7. So yeah, I used pretty much all the push to pass we had, which was a shame. But yeah, I was pleased that we got one extra lap and had to put everything together. So yeah, it was an amazing run.
Christian Lundgaard then, still on the sharp end of the field, and that should not surprise you at all. He was pretty much one of the fastest guys last year during testing, was consistently fast yesterday and this morning. I got to talk with him after his qualifying. Take a listen. Christian Lundgaard running up front in qualifying, and I want to say that's a surprise. It really hasn't. You've been fast every time you've been here. What do you like so much about this track?
I mean, I don't think there's anything I particularly like more than any other track. I think it has a lot of cool combinations, and it's good to test on. It has a lot of slow speed corners, some twisty bits, and some high speed. So, what more can you ask for? As a test track. But I think it's cool that we're throwing in a twist of a race and push to pass and qualifying and heat races and all of this. It makes it exciting. But every time I go on a racetrack, I want to be fast.
Let's talk about this track a little bit more because we had a big sense of dynamic changes, right? A lot of wind, dust kicking up on the track. How much of an issue was that for you today?
I mean, it certainly makes things interesting. You go in with a bit of nerves because you don't exactly know what you have, and I think as a driver, the one thing you want is security and comfort and confidence in the material that you have underneath you, and with the wind and even the sand, you don't really know what the track condition is, and if you hit a wind gust in the wrong moment, it can have terrible consequences. So it's tough, but I think we as a team we executed well on that. We didn't execute in qualifying, had traffic and stuff, but it is what it is. We're in the hunt. We're quick. We turned the fastest lap of the test, so we were second fastest here last year. So clearly the 45 car is pretty quick.
You're starting tomorrow for first heat in the middle of the advancing six. Talk to me about what your mental approach is from a wheel-to-wheel standpoint.
Don't get hit. No, I mean, I think everybody understands that it's obviously you need to be in that top six to advance, but I also think everybody understands that the race is not won in turn one, and push to pass is available as soon as basically the green is thrown. So that's going to be an interesting factor as well, and how everybody decides to handle it. But I think the game plan is to survive turn one and take it from there. We've never raced here. In race one, obviously it helps Graham knowing what happens in race one. But we'll see. I think there's a lot of smart drivers in my group, so I'm hoping that we make it through.
Want to end with the question that I feel like everyone's been asked this weekend. You end up walking away hypothetically with $500,000. What are you spending it on?
I guess time will tell. But yeah, I mean, maybe you should donate it to the engineers for giving you the piece of equipment that gave you that half.
You're the first person I've talked to about this, and I think you already gave me the right answer. Christian Lundgaard, guys. Didn't expect Graham Rahal, who we knew those Rahals had pace, right? And we knew Rahals had pace since Indy GP last year, but he hasn't had it yet this weekend. I say yet because third place start. He turned it on at the last second, and I was able to break that down with him. Have a listen. Graham Rahal, first time, not the first time at Thermal, first time with us approaching it with a very unique format. Your initial thoughts?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, first off, it's a gorgeous track. Tim Rogers and everything he's done at this facility is top notch. I mean, you won't find another like this around the country, and a beautiful backdrop. Obviously, today was a major challenge with the wind, the sand, all of those sorts of things. But, tomorrow, I think for the race, it's going to be a very interesting format. It's a cool deal, though, I think, for the folks that are here, for the club members. And again, the injection of potential interest and sponsorship and things like that in the sport is important. And so, I'm excited about it. I mean, obviously, qualifying, we turned things around, so we've got a good spot to start for tomorrow. So let's see what happens.
Let's talk about that, because you found the third place pace that you've been trying to find at the checkered there. Talk to me about kind of how you guys progressed to getting there.
Well, I mean, just kind of put it together, honestly. Put the lap together. I had a really good turn 8, 9, 10, and that found a lot of time for me. I think my first lap when the rear brakes locked, like that was trending to be even better than the lap that we did. So who knows where it ends up. But it was kind of unfortunate not to be able to get that. I mean, I loved it. I think major challenge here. I mean, with the tire, the way that it is, how quick it goes off, you got one shot at it, and same for everybody, but it makes things quite tough.
Were you a fan of the 40 seconds of push to pass, or not a fan of necessarily having just one lap to give it your all?
I'm going to guess Christian's a fan because he already told me, and I'm the opposite. I just, I think that's a little gimmicky for me. And I think like tomorrow to have overtake on the first lap of the race is gimmicky. But it is what it is. It's, this is ultimately made for TV. It's an event that we hope that people at home get excited about. I can tell people are paying attention because I got blown up after qualifying. So people are kind of intrigued about what's happening here. So let's see. I mean, I wouldn't say it was my favorite.
Let's talk about tomorrow. You're in a prime position already for advancing. You're going to have guys biting at your heels naturally. What's your mental approach to the first heat?
Simply make no mistakes, and compound that with the fact of you've got to save some overtake, and we've got to make sure. We've been one of the slowest cars in the straight line, which is a little bit of a concern because the straights are long here. Keep the rear tire underneath you. I think that is probably key number one. Keep the rear tire underneath you so that you've got something to go attack with in the race.
Last question here, the question that's been kind of hot. you walk away tomorrow with $500,000. What are you doing with it?
Yeah, I mean, every driver's different. I don't care anybody tells you. Everybody's different in their prize money and what they get. For me, I got kids. I got plenty of bills to pay. I can tell you that. So if it happens, it would be great. But I actually took a big prize money cut over the last couple of years to try to help the guys on the team. You know, so some guys are different. Some guys probably get 75% of that. Some probably get 0. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Great Rahal, guys. That is a wrap for us, though, from Thermal Club. Have a great night. Enjoy F1 at Albert Park and enjoy COTA NASCAR tomorrow. But more importantly, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for Thermal Club. But for all things racing, stick to the grid.